RD, I am delighted to be back and connected with you and to see you again. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Mark?
I'm good. And I understand we have you live from beautiful downtown Portland, Maine, correct?
That's right. Finally melting some snow out here.
Yes, and I've been visiting a lot up there, and I must say that I was happy to get back to warm Los Angeles a couple of those times. So,
I'm gonna have to hang up this call now.
no, really appreciate you participating. I know you're going to bring a lot of good insights and perspectives to what we're trying to offer our business audience here on what's happening in the marketplace and with the main theme overall about leadership. How about if we start, if you would just tell us who you are, what you do, and a little bit about your background?
Sure, great. So my name is R.D. Whitney. For the past 25 years, I've been building professional communities. Started right out of school, which was traditional publishing, need to have information, and helping educate different professional markets through publishing. But as the internet came along and the intermediary things in between there, like CD-ROMs and all these other things, but as the internet came along, it really facilitated the ability to connect people and create networking. So today, I run a portfolio of products for a company called Diversified Communications up in Portland, Maine. It's one of the larger independently owned events companies in America, family owned for 60 years, and I run a portfolio of business communities for them.
No, it's exciting. I know we met when you were heading and leading up onrec.com, which was fantastic, and I was diversifying, doing some work in corporate video and whatnot. And you have a unique background. But before I get into that, can you give us a brief? I know it's a longer answer than the question, but can you give us a sense of what your definition of leadership is?
Yeah, to me, leadership is setting an example. Having talented people that see that you're also a hard worker, you have the same values, that you trust them to do their job, and you're there not to criticize, but to help coach them in the right direction. We're all ultimately trying to get to the same spot. So a leader is somebody that can motivate, has positive energy, and can bring that group together in a way that helps an organization achieve their goals.
Yeah, well said. As you said, your background and your career it's been in publishing, media, events, communities. I've seen you at work. You do great stuff, bringing people together. With respect to leaders, how have you seen leaders evolve and develop, and their ability to adapt and even pivot in all the different times and eras we've been through, like major economic, industry, technology changes? How have you seen that happen?
That's a great question. I think that's what defines the success of a leader, and more, it's a leader's ability to constantly be ready to change every single day, almost every hour. I think it will only intensify the amount of change that's happening in the business world, and the ability to adapt to that and almost thrive on it, I think, is what's going to define a successful leader and help them achieve their mission. A leader needs to get stuff done. I love the saying at Facebook that done is better than perfect, or it's on the wall. I think too many times that try to get something perfect before you know what the defined model is, and I think it's important to bring the group to various milestones together and get things done, and then you can always perfect it later. So speed and agility, they're critical now.
Yeah, things are changing super fast. It's interesting. I like that saying too. Done is better than perfect. It reminds me of I had interviewed an executive who was an executive of a major pro sports team, and he talked to me how about they always aim to win the championship, which I guess could be related to perfect. They always aim to win the championship. They know they're not going to win it every year, but that is the goal. What they require, though, is to have winning seasons every year for a company, profitable, good, and that's the done part, and you're done and perfect, analogy. How How do you see, in that respect, executives creating winning cultures to be able to do that done versus perfect or the consistent winning seasons?
Right. Yeah. So, when we're putting together these professional communities for longevity, they're usually starting with some kind of educational component at the core. And it could have been back in the day. You might have subscribed to a print newsletter that kept you glued to your colleague because you both needed to stay up on information relative to that industry or function. It could have been a directory listing of contacts, or it could have been some kind of annual gathering that you went to. Today, all these things, all these interconnections are so possible on a frequent basis, and we're trying to take these initial components and bring them together into communities that will last a long time and be profitable. We're a for-profit company. Many cases, these are run by nonprofits too. So those are pretty large goals, and you don't exactly know how you're going to get to your goal. There's a chart somewhere I've seen recently. It said, this was the intended pathway, and it showed it just going straight up. And then it showed this is what actually happened, and it showed it, but it didn't go up. So all along the way there, you got to have the right people, obviously. You got to be willing to, when you don't have the right people, be disciplined enough to make a transition and treat those people with respect, and keep moving it forward. Keep a level of positive energy going. Nothing will kill a mission more than sort of negativity, I think. But believe that we don't know what the exact result's going to be, but we're all going to push forward. Lots of chunks that we're taking at a time and pushing them forward. And I think that's what a leader is here to do, to set example, to be honest, have the right values, but to be pushing that group forward towards the goal, in my case, to build a sustainable business community.
It's interesting you say that because, what I've always found is, leaders sometimes are afraid may be the wrong word, to make changes on talent, and talent still is the number one asset, despite technology. And it's always interesting that being afraid to do something with people that aren't performing, what people don't realize is they're actually de-incentivizing the people that are performing. And as a result, the team may not win the championship because you're afraid to make a change with one of those players, right?
That's right, exactly. It's hard to do. Lots of human emotions involved, but if you don't do it, your team is looking at you as a leader, wondering why that's acceptable when you're trying to push them at a level of engagement that's not everywhere in the team. So you have to deal with that.
Yeah. No.
Somebody on my team recently called it being better at ripping off the Band-Aid. I thought that was kind of a neat analogy.
That's a good one. Hurts for a second, but it's much better later.
Yep.
So, digital media, social media, it's like unbelievable, and it relates very much to, as you said, company ABC started at this, and they never knew what they didn't know was going to happen later on. But it's obviously impacting business leaders and just business in general, and the actions they take, the strategies they have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I usually tell this little story. I remember someone told me that they used to be able to have meetings, have heart-to-heart discussions in the guy's office, and then move out and go do stuff. Now he says they have meetings, and before the meeting's over and they're even out of his office, it's on Twitter, basically. What's your experience in how it's changed leaders and business people's decisions and strategies overall?
It's a great point. I mean, probably just since we've been on this video call here, 3 or 4 emails have come in that probably are going to change my direction later today.
There you go.
It's just the case, but I mean, you just got to be ready to embrace it, I think. Like, you can either look at that as a headache, or you can look at that as opportunity. I get up before my alarm clock goes off. I love what I do. And I think, leaders that embrace that, that's a real success. I think that's a real ingredient for success, because then the team as well is going to see that and be the same type. But, I talked to you earlier about like making sure that there's not that fear of failure in the group. And I know that's said a lot. I once saw a formula written somewhere that was success equaled failure squared. And I really like that idea. A perfect example recently in my team, we do a lot of marketing. We have a lot of marketing efforts and things like that. And a new marketer had sent out a particular campaign, and there was an error in it, and she was a little nervous about presenting it. I'm like, that is awesome. That is fantastic. And everybody was shaking their head, and I'm like, if you send out a second oops email, and you're human about it, that open rate on that second email is so much higher. So I think, if you can find the silver lining and the positive message in almost anything, and I think it's important for leaders to do that. You can find the bad thing in everything too, but what's going to move you forward?
Yeah, no, we have a saying, from breakdown comes opportunity. And I think you're 100% right. I interviewed a fellow by the name of Walter O'Brien. I don't know if you know the TV show on CBS called Scorpion. So he's a friend of mine. That the fellow that show's based upon, and he talks about everybody should have at least one failure by the time they're 18 or 19 years old. Earlier the better, to really get that out and go for it. And I think you're right. I've seen leaders, they do make the decision to thrive and embrace everything going on. Otherwise, they're overwhelmed, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're hitting on another really important point there, too, that the trust also comes in that everything can't go through them. They have to trust their people. They're never going to scale as a leader if they think they have to review everything. You either trust your people or you don't. And it actually is easier if you do.
It's funny. It's easier, but they don't know it until they're able to really do it. Because control is a big factor. Especially with your own business, you think I'm the only one that knows how to do this. And you're right. Trust is a big point that we discuss with our clients a lot. And what ends up happening, we find, is that decisions are made more accurately, more timely, and with less emotional drama because everybody trusts what everybody is doing and who they are and where they're coming from. Don't you find that?
Yeah, definitely.
I've been fortunate to have been in a global leadership development organization early on in my career, and met people around the world. Languages, cultures, I find are almost just as important as the language. You have too. What's some of the similarities or differences you find in how people and cultures, affect business, and how have you seen executives ensure that there's a consistent message for that winning culture when you're in a global group?
Yeah. It doesn't matter where you are. I think you can't fake sincerity. It shows right through. And if you love what you do and you clearly know your skill, your trade, it shows through no matter what the culture is. I worked for 3 years for a British public company. Really enjoyed that experience, and they were global. And Diversified is a very global company as well. And I get a chance to interact with some of the companies as well, but the values show through. Honesty as well. You can't if you try to do it for the short term, it's going to end up being a short term opportunity. So you got to take a long term approach if you want to develop the relationship. So
yeah, well, you mentioned sustainability before. I think that goes right in there, and I compare a lot of things to sports again. The coach that's told if they don't win this year, they're fired. All he's going to think about is quick short-term decisions. But if you have a leader that shows this, he or she wants this to be a sustainable business, then you can make proper longer-term decisions, and you can trust where everything's going. And in this era of sustainability and all that, I find I like the term. I don't know if anybody's coined it. If not, I'm going to coin it right now officially. Sustainable talent, basically.
Yeah.
But you've got to have the trust and the confidence of people that you do want this to be a sustainable opportunity, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I heard a saying just recently about this concept of we go in to see how we can fill up our cup every day, and instead as a leader we should look at how we can empty our cup every single day.
That's awesome.
And the best thing we can do as leaders, and a lot of the detailed stuff we work on a day-to-day basis is not relevant to the long term, but the leadership that we develop as leaders, and that is long lasting, and that's something you can be proud of later in your career. I helped that person get to the point that they're at in their career. That led to them developing a new company or having a success. I help connect those two people there. What's that saying? Is Zig Ziglar? You can get anything you want in life if you help enough. If you help enough other people get what they want. That's just so true, especially in leadership.
Well, I guess we can thank Joe McCool for introducing us, right?
That's right, exactly. That's a perfect example, yeah.
Thanks, Joe. We do a lot of board advisory and search work on that same theme. I'm sure you've noticed boards of directors have changed to become more diverse in so many ways. What's your opinion in general of what the right fit is for a person on a board?
I'm on the board of a public company. I enjoy it very much. I think my role as a member is to understand who my customer is, and it's the shareholder or the investor, no matter what type of board it is. In this case, it's the investor. So I have to have, I'm obviously on that board because I bring some things to the table, but I have to be willing to challenge the people that wanted me on that board. I have to have courage to do that because my customer is the investor. And there needs to be a level of respect on that board that is the give and take there, that is the interaction that should happen. And I don't think that happens enough. And I think that is something that should be determined, that should be absolutely a factor in boards for them to be successful.
Yeah, that's an outstanding point. Obviously you're great at connecting and relationships. What advice would you give young up-and-coming leaders as they're getting into preparing their future, becoming leaders in today's world? What would you tell them?
I would tell them to try to find a mentor. Even if it's not in the formal fashion, find somebody that really inspires them and, hit your wagon to their star. Somebody that kind of gets the concept that, that you give to get. And, my father-in-law said a couple times, be nice to young people because they're going to rule the world someday. I used to be young, and some people were nice to me, and that helped me get to where I am and hopefully further, and I can do the same. So my advice is to, volunteer for things you're passionate about, and don't be afraid, take risk within reason. And as you gain more confidence, you'll take more risk. But definitely network and be courageous when you can.
Yeah, great points. All right, we're going to ask you a few real personal questions now. Short answer type of things. Do you have a pet or any pets?
I do. I have a 15-and-a-half-year-old black lab that I'm carrying up and down the stairs these days.
Oh, I know the feeling. I had that too. Well, you need to send us a picture of you with him because we're an executive that I interviewed really quick. During the interview, I saw the door open behind him, and before I knew it, the dog was on his lap, and he said, "You should start an Executives and Their Pets series." So idea. It's evolved where now it's being called Pets and Their Executives, actually. So I'm reminding you now, send us a picture of you and your dog, and we'll include you. Do you have a favorite activity or sport?
I'm a bit of a geek. I really love what I do, and I'm always kind of digging around for ideas and business concepts and connections and networking type opportunities. I'm not, I was kind of a bench warmer in school. I like sports, but I wasn't very good at it. I really enjoy what I do for work, and I do run. I think mentally that's good. I enjoy my family time. I have two beautiful daughters, 20 and 22.
That's awesome.
My wife and I enjoy spending a lot of time with them.
We'll introduce him to my 25-year-old. Just kidding.
Hey, we're matchmakers, right?
Exactly, we are. Do you have a favorite movie or TV show or both?
Favorite movie would have to be something along the lines of a Jim Carrey movie, or maybe Fletch with.
Well, I like the Jim Carrey, Canadian guy.
Yeah, that's right.
How about favorite type of music?
Yeah, alternative, maybe even sort of, easy listening, James Taylor kind of thing. I like everything.
Good choices. How about food?
Food. I like everything. Although Diversified runs the largest seafood expos in the world, so we're told to, really eat a lot of shrimp because our paychecks are determined by the price of shrimp.
Hey, where you are, it should be lobster rolls, man.
That's right, exactly.
They're the best.
They put lobster in everything. You can get a lobster donut here if you want.
Oh, God. I have not had that, But I will tell you, every time I get to Maine, the lobster rolls, absolutely, they're spectacular. So,
I'm going to take you to the best place when you come out to Maine next time.
deal. Hey, listen, thank you so much for participating. It's always a pleasure, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the opportunity.